Before we get started, you want to fold your fabric widthways. You'll know that it's done properly if the selvages are meeting. So the selvages are the two finished edges rather than the raw edge. If you're using the printed pattern, go ahead and pop that on top of the fabric now. For me, I'm just going to measure mine out, seeing as the majority of this is made out of rectangles. Place your scallops right sides together and then sew around the curves. Take your time with this part, as if it's done incorrectly, sometimes the scallops can come across a little bit pointy, which isn't always the effect that we're after. Once you've finished, give this a little clip around the edges, paying particular attention to the deepest part. Now grab your two bodice pieces, your main and your lining, and we're going to sandwich the scallop in between these two pieces, matching at the notches. If you're doing the non-print version, this is about 9 centimeters from either side. I've opted to just have scallops at the front of my top, but you'll probably have front and back, so just be mindful that I'm only doing one side. Pin that bad boy in place, and then we're going to stitch along the top. Flip this right sides out, and now we're going to match the side seams. Now it's time to draw the elastic channels on our top, so you can use any width of elastic you want. I'm using 2.5 here, but you can use absolutely anything as long as you draw those channels out correctly using a washable pen. Stitch that in place. Now it's time to unpick the back so that we can insert the elastic through our channels. So grab your unpick and gently open up the back. Be super mindful here that you're only opening up the stitches rather than any fabric, and it's just on that one outside layer. Attach a safety pin to your elastic and start feeding it through the channels. This is the order that it says to do things in the written instructions, and I'm doing it in this order on the video as well, but after making a couple of shell tops, I've actually found it can be easier to attach the bubble before inserting the elastic. So completely up to you on what order you want to do it in, but just FYI, you can attach the bubble and then insert the elastic. Up to you. Overlap your elastic ends and secure with a zigzag stitch. Next up, you want to hand stitch close your casings. So I'm just using a bit of a zigzag method here. There's no right or wrong in terms of the way that you do this. It's just so that the channels are closed up. To create our bubble, the first step is to sew the side seams of the two pieces together. After you've done this, press the seams open with an iron. You'll also want to sew your bubble lining together at the side seam. Next up, we're going to sew a gathering stitch along the top and bottom of our bubble ruffle. I'm using a gathering hack here that is my absolute go-to. Basically, what you do is you do a couple of your gathering stitches and then you grab the top thread and you pull gently to create some tension as you sew, and it will gather as you go. An absolute lifesaver. Just a reminder, if you're a beginning sewist, you need to make sure that you don't backstitch when you're doing your gather. So you'll be using your largest stitch length and you do not backstitch. This allows us to adjust any gathering if we need to at the end. Now grab your bubble ruffle lining and your bubble ruffle main, and you are going to attach them with right sides facing just on one side of the bubble ruffle. Leave the other end open for now, and I'll show you what to do next. The key here is to match that middle seam and then to pin from there. Now that you've stitched that in place, we are going to flip the lining so that the wrong sides are facing each other, and we're going to attach in the exact same way. Once you've stitched that together, we are now ready to attach it to our main bodice. Once again, matching at the side seams, grab your bubble and put right sides onto the right side of the bodice and pin around. Stitch that in place and then you are done.